You wake up, check your phone, and a message from your employer, "We regret to inform you, ... Your paycheck, gone. Rent, due. Your savings, not enough. Now what? For millions of people, this isn't hypothetical. It's happening right now. And that's why I'm recording this video, because layoffs are rising. The cost of living is crushing families. And most people, they're one bad month away from financial disaster. But what if there was a way out? A way to escape the cycle, where your money works for you instead of the other way around. For those who understood Bitcoin early, it was their golden ticket. While others stressed about rent, they lived off their investments. Some never worked another day in their life. Is that opportunity gone, or is there still time? And most importantly, how much Bitcoin do you actually need to achieve financial freedom? By the end of this video, you'll have a clear roadmap to living off Bitcoin, not just hype, but a real, actionable strategy that works even if you're starting with nothing, from a crypto millionaire. Now smash that like, hit subscribe, and let's dive in, baby. Before we calculate how much Bitcoin you need, let's answer a more relevant question. How much money do you actually need to live comfortably? In the US, the median personal income is around $60,000 per year. But depending on where you live, that number could be a lot more or less. In states like California and New York, 6 figures barely covers the basics. So for simplicity, let's use $60K a year as our benchmark. And that means your Bitcoin holdings must generate at least $60K annually for you to be financially independent. But here's the challenge. Bitcoin doesn't pay dividends like stocks. There's no monthly rental income like real estate. To turn Bitcoin into an income stream, you either have to sell portions of your holdings each year, live off Bitcoin's price growth, and withdraw gains strategically, or borrow against it. So how much Bitcoin would you need to make this happen? That depends on Bitcoin's long-term growth rate, and that's what we'll calculate next. Bitcoin's historical growth rate. First of all, I need you to understand that Bitcoin isn't just another investment. It's been one of the best performing assets of the last decade and of all time. All time. But can we rely on its growth to fuel financial independence? Well, let's look at the data, okay? Historically, Bitcoin has delivered insane returns compared to traditional investment. Since its launch, Bitcoin has averaged a staggering 85.05 annual growth rate as of 2025. To put that in perspective, the S&P 500, a benchmark for the stock market, averages around 10% a year. Real estate, 8%. Gold, a modest 6 to 7% a year. Bitcoin, over 85% a year on average so far. Even after multiple crashes, Bitcoin's trajectory has always been up over time. But can you really rely on its future growth? Well, let's look at the data. In 2013, Bitcoin was $100. 2017, $20,000, a 200x increase. In 2018, Bitcoin crashed to 3K. People called it dead. By 2021, it hit 69,000. By 2024, 100,000. Right now, experts like Fidelity, ARK, and Bloomberg predict Bitcoin could reach 500,000 to 1 million in the next decade. Of course, no investment is risk-free. Bitcoin is volatile, and past gains do not guarantee future results. But with institutional adoption rising and only 21 million Bitcoin to ever exist, Bitcoin is expected to keep driving up long-term. Supply and demand, it's simple. But what does this mean for you as an investor? Well, if Bitcoin continues to grow at this pace, an investment today could multiply exponentially in just a few years. But, and this is a big but, Bitcoin is also known for volatility. A single year can bring 300% gains and 80% crashes, making it a high-risk, high-reward asset. Naturally, you'll be worried about relying on this growth rate, but I did a little more research to understand the trend and see the direction where Bitcoin is headed in the future. Now, I know very well that past performance does not guarantee future results. The days of Bitcoin going from 100 to 10,000 overnight are likely over. And many experts still predict strong long-term growth as Bitcoin adoption increases. Factors like institutional investors buying more Bitcoin, limited supply, increased use cases in global finance could all continue pushing Bitcoin's value higher. And that brings us back to the most important question. How much Bitcoin do you actually need to retire? Let's break it down step by step. Step 1, establish the goal, baby. We already know the average person needs $60K a year to maintain a comfortable lifestyle. That means your Bitcoin investment needs to generate at least that amount every year to cover living expenses. Now, step 2, factoring in Bitcoin's growth rate. Bitcoin's average annual growth rate is around 85%. But to be conservative, let's assume a more modest 50 to 60% of yearly growth moving forward. Step 3, how much Bitcoin would you need? To figure out how much Bitcoin you'd need to invest, let's run 2 different scenarios. Scenario 1, you're living off Bitcoin's growth. If Bitcoin continues appreciating over time, you could withdraw a portion of your portfolio every year while still allowing it to grow. The key question is, how big does your Bitcoin stack need to be? Using the 4% rule, which suggests withdrawing 4% of your portfolio annually, you'd need about $1.5 million in Bitcoin to safely generate $60K a year without ever risking running out of money. With Bitcoin at about $90K a piece, that means holding about 15 Bitcoin would put you in the financial freedom zone. Now, if Bitcoin appreciates at 50% a year, well below its historical average, you could withdraw profits while still maintaining and even growing your portfolio. This approach works best for those who already hold a significant Bitcoin position, okay? But what if you're starting from scratch? Well, scenario 2, dollar cost average your way into freedom, baby. Come on now. For most people, stacking Bitcoin over time is the realistic path to financial independence. Instead of waiting for a windfall, dollar cost averaging, or DCA, allows you to build your portfolio steadily regardless of price fluctuations. Here's what this looks like. Investing $1,000 a month into Bitcoin, assuming a 50% annual growth rate, could get you to $1.5 million in only 8 to 10 years. Now, if you're able to double that to $2,000 a month, you could cut that time in half. Even if Bitcoin's rate is 25% a year, a consistent investment strategy will crush every traditional asset. This means you don't need to be a whale today. You just need to plan and have discipline. See, Bitcoin's early adopters turned small investments into generational wealth. The question now is, will history repeat itself, or is it too late? If Bitcoin reaches $250,000, $500,000, or $1 million, the best buying window will have already passed. Every cycle, most people hesitate, waiting for a better entry, only to eventually FOMO in near the top when it's too late for that cycle. The next few years could be the financial opportunity to accumulate Bitcoin at a meaningful price. The only question is, will you take action now, or will you wait and hesitate until it's out of reach? Bitcoin has created life-changing wealth for millions, including myself. But the path to financial independence isn't as simple as buying and waiting. Bitcoin's volatility can wipe out gains. Bitcoin isn't a stable income stream. It's one of the most volatile assets in history. It's had years of 300% gains and 80% crashes. Imagine building a portfolio to $1.5 million and a month later it's $500,000. If you're forced to sell your Bitcoin at the wrong time just to cover expenses, you could drain your holdings faster than expected. Future growth is uncertain. Bitcoin has outperformed every major asset class ever over the past decade that it's existed. But will it continue at 50% plus annual growth? Well, as Bitcoin adoption increases, some analysts believe its returns will slow down, similar to how gold stabilized after mass adoption. If Bitcoin's price doesn't grow as expected, you might need more Bitcoin than planned to reach financial independence. But still, find another asset that performs just as good. I honest to God, I would love someone to find something. Regulation and taxes could take a bigger cut. Governments are keeping a closer eye on Bitcoin than ever before. In some countries, crypto gains are heavily taxed, while others are working on stricter regulations. Imagine new laws that increase capital gains taxes on Bitcoin sales, limit how Bitcoin can be used for payments, impose restrictions on self-custody wallets. If these policies change, your ability to withdraw and use Bitcoin could become more expensive or more complicated than expected. Bitcoin doesn't pay passive income. Unlike dividend stocks or rental properties, Bitcoin doesn't generate cash flow. You have to sell it to access money. This becomes a problem if Bitcoin enters a multi-year bear market, which happens. And if prices stay low for years, you might sell off more Bitcoin than planned, depleting your holdings faster than expected. Some investors hedge against this. How do they do it? Well, earning a yield on Bitcoin through lending, but this carries risk. Holding income-producing assets alongside Bitcoin to cover living expenses. Security risks could erase your wealth. Owning Bitcoin means your own bank. But with that power comes responsibility. If you lose your private keys, your Bitcoin is gone forever. If you store Bitcoin on an exchange, hacks or collapses could wipe out your holdings. If you fall for a scam, there's no way to reverse transactions. Period. We know the potential, we know the risks. Now let's talk about how to actually pull this off. If you're serious about using Bitcoin to achieve financial freedom like I have, you'll need a strategy that maximizes gains while protecting you from volatility. And if all of this sounds too good to be true, you need to turn off the TV, stop watching Netflix, stop scrolling, and get my Money in Crypto Masterclass down below. It's 100% free. I don't get anything out of it other than the joy of knowing that if you go through it, I have added so much value to your life and you will now be able to make decisions from a fully educated standpoint. So grab that course. It's free for a limited time. At some point, it's going to go back at full price. But right now, during this cycle, I don't want money to be an issue from anyone getting this resource. So grab it. And while you're at it, smash that like, subscribe, because it helps this channel more than you will ever imagine. Now let's dive back in. Use dollar cost averaging, or DCA. Instead of dumping your life savings into Bitcoin at once, invest a fixed amount every month. Whether prices are high or low, this smooths out volatility and lowers your risk of buying at the peak. If Bitcoin's 100K, you buy. If Bitcoin drops to 70K, you buy at a discount. If Bitcoin hits 200K, your earlier buys look like a genius move. And over time, this method has proven to be one of the most effective ways to build wealth in Bitcoin. I personally have done that, and I have bought Bitcoin at the high of every cycle since I've been in. Diversify your investments. Bitcoin is powerful, but going all in is risky. Smart investors balance their growth with other assets, like Ethereum, the second largest crypto with strong growth potential. Dividend stocks, providing passive income to cover living expenses. Real estate, it generates rental income while Bitcoin appreciates. This way, if Bitcoin takes a hit, your entire future doesn't crash with that crash. Plan your withdrawal strategy. Instead of selling all your Bitcoin at once, consider the 4% rule. Withdraw only 4% of your portfolio a year to make it last. Selling during bull markets. Take profits when Bitcoin spikes instead of selling in a crash. Using crypto-backed loans. Borrow against your Bitcoin instead of selling so you keep exposure for long-term growth. Secure your holdings. Your Bitcoin is only valuable if you can access it. Avoid common pitfalls by storing long-term holdings in cold wallets like Ledger and Trezor. I have a link below to the one I personally use. Using multi-sig security to prevent hacks. Setting up a backup plan so your Bitcoin isn't lost if something happens to you. Bitcoin has created life-changing wealth for me, and with the right strategy, it could do the same for you. But success isn't about buying Bitcoin. It's about managing risk, making smart moves, and staying patient. So now the question is, can you actually live off Bitcoin? Is it just a dream, or is it something real people are already doing? Yes, it's possible. I'm living proof of that. I traveled the world because of Bitcoin, and some early Bitcoin adopters are already living proof as well. Bitcoin's historical growth, its limited supply, and increasing adoption make it a compelling asset for long-term wealth. If you start investing early enough now and follow a structured plan, Bitcoin can be a major tool for financial freedom for you. But here's the catch. Bitcoin isn't a magic money machine. It's volatile, unpredictable, and still evolving. Even if Bitcoin continues to grow, timing withdrawals, managing risk, diversifying your portfolio, they're keys to making it work long-term. So who can benefit from this strategy? Well, long-term thinkers. If you're patient and can handle market major swings like Tarzan swings, if you're a disciplined investor who can stick to a plan and not panic sell, people who understand risk. Bitcoin isn't a guarantee, and regulation could change the game. However, keep in mind that Bitcoin alone won't make you rich overnight. But if you treat it like a long-term investment, have a clear strategy, and don't rely on hype, it could be your path to financial freedom. So what do you think? Could you see yourself living off Bitcoin? Let me know. Let's talk in the comments. And until then, I will see you on the next video right here or here, and you keep living your life to the fullest, baby. Peace.